eggs, once demonized and downgraded to the occasional treat in many national dietary guidelines, are now strutting back into the global nutrition spotlight with something close to swagger. Across continents, from East Asia to Latin America to Europe, there's been a quiet but powerful shift in how governments, scientists, and the public are viewing this humble food. Once feared for its cholesterol content, the egg is now being celebrated for its affordability, versatility, and nutrient density, with many countries not only rethinking restrictions, but actively promoting eggs in national health programs. The change didn't happen overnight. For decades, eggs were framed as a cardiovascular risk food, largely due to early research connecting dietary cholesterol to heart disease. This prompted many national dietary guidelines, especially in the US, UK, and parts of Asia, to recommend limiting egg intake, sometimes to as few as 3 per week. Those yellow yolks, despite being rich in vitamins and brain-boosting choline, were viewed as ticking cholesterol bombs. But science, thankfully, evolves. Large-scale observational studies and randomized controlled trials over the past 2 decades have steadily dismantled the link between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol, at least for the general population. The most influential health organizations, including the American Heart Association and the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, have now walked back previous cholesterol limits, effectively removing the cap on egg consumption for most healthy individuals. That shift sent ripples worldwide. In countries like China, where cholesterol warnings once echoed Western fears, eggs have become nutritional heroes again, especially in efforts to improve the diets of children and older adults. The Chinese Nutrition Society now includes eggs as part of a daily recommended protein source, and school nutrition programs in rural areas often include them as a low-cost, high-impact intervention to address malnutrition and protein gaps. In Latin America, where economic access is a key part of dietary policy, eggs have earned praise not only for their nutrient density, but for their role in preventing stunting in young children. A now famous randomized study in Ecuador showed that introducing 1 egg per day into infants' diets significantly reduced rates of stunting, without causing abnormal rises in cholesterol. The World Health Organization and UNICEF took notice, and since then, eggs have increasingly become part of nutrition interventions in vulnerable populations. Even in Europe, where culinary traditions often clashed with clinical caution, eggs are enjoying a quiet renaissance. The UK's National Health Service no longer warns against daily egg consumption. Mediterranean countries, which never fully bought into the anti-yolk panic to begin with, continue to feature eggs in traditional diets, paired with vegetables, legumes, and olive oil, in ways that support heart health rather than undermine it. Meanwhile, plant-forward cultures like Japan have found their own rhythm. Japanese citizens already consume some of the highest per capita egg counts globally, often in lean preparations like soft-boiled or lightly steamed. Despite high egg intake, Japan has among the lowest rates of heart disease, reinforcing the idea that it's not the egg, but the context of the overall diet that determines health outcomes. Of course, the global reevaluation isn't just cultural or scientific, it's economic, too. As food prices rise and protein becomes more expensive in many parts of the world, eggs offer an affordable, shelf-stable, and accessible source of complete protein, along with key micronutrients like B12, selenium, and of course, choline. They're easier to store than fresh meat, cheaper than fish, and more nutrient-dense than many plant alternatives when eaten whole. It's important to note that not everyone can eat unlimited eggs without concern. Individuals with familial hypercholesterolemia or specific lipid disorders still need to follow tailored guidance. But for the majority of people, including children, pregnant women, and older adults, eggs are not just safe, but recommended. So here we are, witnessing a true global food redemption arc. The egg has gone from being a symbol of dietary guilt to a culinary and nutritional comeback story, embraced by both tradition and science. And maybe that's the lesson. Foods don't exist in isolation, and neither should our judgments about them. In a world looking for sustainable, affordable, and nutritious solutions, the egg may very well have been the quiet answer all along, hiding in plain sight, sunny side up.